Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new reading vlog. So this vlog is going to be for just the end of the month. So in my last reading vlog I said that I was going to try to do bi-weekly reading vlogs, and then I proceeded to not film after that. It's been a hectic time. I explained it all in a recent writing vlog, so if you want to know, go check that video out. But I'm back. I'm very excited to be doing this vlog, so I'm going to update you on what I've read since the last reading vlog that I uploaded, and then talk about my reading plans for the end of the month, which is quite ambitious, if I do say so myself. So I've technically read 3 books since last talking to you, and there's a reason why I say technically, which I'll explain in a second. But I left off the last reading vlog reading Lulu and Milagros Search for Clarity by Angela Velez. I don't remember at what point I was at in the book in the last vlog, but I finished it. I enjoyed this book. It's not like an absolute favorite or anything, but I liked the writing, I liked the characters, although I think I liked Lulu maybe a little bit more than Milagro. At least I liked reading in her POV a bit more, just because I liked her story and what was going on with her a bit more. There was a romance going on with her, and we all know that I love my romance, so I was kind of clinging onto that a bit. I liked the story. I kind of did want more from the sisters. I think it's because I went into this book expecting it to just be like a sister story, like thinking that they were just going to be stuck together for this entire trip, but they actually had like their own partners on the trip, so they were kind of separate a lot of the time. And so it's not exactly what I was expecting, but it's not a fault of the book. That's a fault of my own expectations of the story. But I think this is definitely worth the read. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Like it was a good time. I enjoyed myself reading it. I had a lot of conversations about university, which was interesting, and leaving home and sisterhood and expectations people have of you, I think, and just all these things, and it was an enjoyable story. So then after that I picked up these 2 books. So we were going to the States for a couple of days, so naturally that meant that I could read in the car and then I could read while we were there. So I decided to bring a couple of books that I've been like putting off. Not necessarily putting off, but just like not picking up. So the first one was Anne of Ingleside by Ella Montgomery. This is the 6th book in the Anne of Green Gables series, which we all know I love, particularly the first 3 books. The other ones are meh, which is why I've been reading this book for so long. So I actually only had like a very small chunk of the book left. I don't even remember where I started, but I had like less than 100 pages to go, I think. But I have been reading this for at least a year. Could be longer, but I know that I was reading it before the Green Gables-a-thon that I co-hosted with my friend Kath last May, and I put this down to read Anne of Green Gables and like all the other books on my TBR, and I just never finished it because I honestly find these later books kind of boring. And I think it's because my favorite parts of Anne of Green Gables are Anne's like kind of like whimsy and kind of like childish like outlook on the world and like her imagination, and then also obviously the relationship between Anne and Gilbert, and both of those things are just not very present in the later books. Well, like once Anne and Gil get married in the later books, it just kind of, they become kind of obsolete in a way. Like he's always at work doing his like doctor thing, and then she's like raising the kids, and so it's not really like a lot about them together anymore. And another thing that bothers me about like the descriptions on the back of these books, at least like my editions of them, is like it's talking about Anne feeling like Gilbert doesn't love her anymore, but that literally did not come into play until like the last 20 pages of the book, I think. So that part I enjoyed. I enjoyed that part because it was about Anne and Gil. The rest of it, not so much. Could not tell you what happens in this book. None of them have overarching plots, which doesn't necessarily bother me, but I just find them boring most of the time. So yeah, it does take me a while to get into these books, but I'm glad that I finally finished reading it, and I can hopefully soon move on to the last 2 books in the series so that I can be done. But honestly, I don't think I'm ever gonna reread this entire series again. Like I think I'm just gonna stick to the first 3 books since those are my favorite, and just let the other ones fade away, you know? And then the other book that I picked up is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. So I believe it was last year that I picked these books up to do a reread, and then I honestly don't remember why, but I just never picked this one up after Blue Lily Lily Blue. I don't know if I like had a readathon coming up or if I just felt like reading something else, but either way, I just never went to this book and picked it up. But I was like kind of looking at my shelf, and as the running theme of these vlogs, I just don't know what I'm in the mood for, and no book is like calling to me. So I was just kind of staring at my shelves for a while, and then this one kind of just like stuck out to me, and I was like, oh, like I could totally read about Blue and Gansey right now, and Adam and Ronan. I was like, I could totally get into that. So I decided to bring it, and I read it all basically within 24 hours. I find these books very quick reads. I usually read them very quickly. But yeah, I really enjoy this this book. I think my favorites in the series are either the first or this one. Originally, I thought it was the third book, but after rereading it, I think I realized it's the first or the fourth one. I just love these characters, and I think I just love all the character moments in this book, and it just brings me a lot of joy. I will admit, most of the time, I don't fully understand what's going on. There's a lot of talk about ley lines and like Welsh kings, and in any other circumstance, I think I would not enjoy topics like that, but it's purely because of how much I love these characters. But either way, I really enjoyed rereading this, and I'm glad that I finally got around to doing so. So those are the 3 books that I've read since last talking to you. So now I have a stack of books beside me that I want to read in the next 2 weeks, and it's a bit ambitious. So the first one is one that I actually bought at Target when we were in the States, and I think it's one that I'm going to be picking up next, called Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher. I haven't heard of this book, but I was at Target and I was kind of just like browsing some of their books, and this one was like in the same area as like the X-Hex and the Hating Game. I think it was actually right beside the Hating Game, and it just captured my attention because it has like a very beautiful like purple cover with like sparkles on it, and I really loved the X-Hex. I actually have it right here. I loved the X-Hex. It's like a supernatural like romance kind of deal. Like it's primarily romance, but it has like supernatural like witchy elements to it, and I really enjoyed that. And this book seems like it's in a similar vein as that. I'm really excited about this one, and I'm gonna be picking it up hopefully at some point today. I had a bit of a later start to my day today than I wanted to because I was having a nightmare that my cat was missing, and so I think I stayed asleep purely so I could find my cat in my dream, because I only woke up once I found my cat, and then I proceeded to go find him and cuddle him for a long time because I missed him. Anyways, so I don't know how much reading I'm gonna be able to do today. I don't even know what it's about, but it seems like it's about our main character whose heart was broken by somebody, but then they're forced together by like supernatural laws to find mates, and they agree to fake date their way to a fake mating in order to conjure themselves some time. But then old feelings make a reappearance. The second that I saw fake dating on the back, I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm gonna buy this book. I did like pop over to Goodreads to see what the reviews were, and they seemed pretty positive. So this is the first time in a while that I've just like bought in a book on a whim, kind of, without knowing anything about it, but it seems really good, and I'm very excited about it. Normally I would leave a book like this for like October time, but I'm kind of in the mood for it. You know, it's a mix of the fantasy and, you know, romance, so I think it's going to be a good book to pick up. So I'm very excited about this one. But then I have some other options that I could read. So the one that I want to read potentially after Not the Witch You Wed is Counting Down With You by Tashi Bouillon. This is my ARC copy of it, but the paperback of this book recently came out, and Tashi ran a giveaway for it over on her Instagram, and I actually won a copy. So I'm supposed to be getting a paperback copy of this book in the mail, and that was like a few weeks ago, so like I'm hoping it's gonna come this week, but if not, then I'm hoping next week. But me reading this book is solely dependent on if it comes in the mail or not. I want to annotate it, so that's very exciting. I finally bought more tabs, bought it the other day, so I'm very excited about that. And we already know I'm gonna use a lot because this is like my most tabbed book ever, so I'm very excited about that, but it purely depends on if it comes in the mail in time. But my other options are Love Radio by Ebony Liddell. This is a book that I received from Simon & Schuster Canada, so thank you so much to them for sending it to me. It seems like it's about a guy who has his own like hip-hop show, and it seems fairly interesting. So I was thinking I could pick this up because it comes out in May, but I actually don't know when it comes out in May. I didn't look. Oh, it comes out at the end of May. So like I could read it in May if I wanted to, but I kind of wouldn't mind reading it this month if I can kind of squeeze it in. It's not a very long book, so I'm sure I could read it fairly quickly. So this is an option. But then I also have 10 Rules for Faking It by Sophie Sullivan, which I haven't been able to read recently because I wanted to tab it and I didn't have any tabs. I was reading this and I got up to page 40, so I'd like to finish my reread of this so I can read the companion sequel, How to Love Your Neighbor. I absolutely adore this book, and so I think a reread of it is like needed at this point, like it's necessary. So I desperately want to get to this one so I can finally read this one, since it came out like all the way back in January. I don't know how I've been able to go this long without reading it. These I think are the most likely out of all of these, but I'm thinking these will probably end up being next week. Unless I've Counted Down With You doesn't come, then I'll be reading one of these this week, I assume. So that's kind of the plan. I think that I can do it. I'm also going to be listening to audiobooks at some point because it's that time of the month where I need to be doing my bullet journal spreads for next month, so I'm going to be needing some audiobooks to listen to. So those are all my reading plans. That was very long-winded. I'm so sorry for throwing all of that at you at once, but I'm very excited about all the books that I've read and all the books I'm going to read. This has been a fairly good reading month so far, which has made me very happy. So I hope you guys are excited for the vlog. Okay, Monday, so it's actually a week later. I just haven't updated this vlog, and I have no excuse, honestly. I just didn't feel like it. But here we are, a week later. It's now the next Monday. I still am reading Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have much of an excuse for why I haven't been reading or why I haven't been vlogging. My sleep schedule is a little messed up once again, and that's kind of prevented me from reading in the mornings like I've been doing previously. And I've also become obsessed with the show How to Get Away with Murder, so I've been binge watching that. I'm now on season 4, and I started that only a couple of weeks ago, so here we are. And I just have not been making reading a priority in the last like a week or so. So here we are. I'm on page 73, and honestly I don't have that many thoughts on it yet. We haven't really gotten to like the juice of the book, like the fake dating, which is what really drew me into the story. So I'm hoping and assuming that once we do get to the fake dating, that I will be able to like fall into the story a bit more and connect to it more. I'm hoping that it's going to be coming up soon. It is my plan to maybe read some today. I don't know. It's currently 2:38. I still need to do writing for the day, so I may or may not pick this up today. But it is my goal to finish it at least this week at some point. It is the last week of the month, so I'd like to finish this. I have finished, I believe, 1 book since last talking to you. I was working on my bullet journal spreads and I listened to an audiobook. So I picked up Rainbow Valley by Montgomery on audiobook. I've been very slowly reading this series, and I think I talked about at the beginning of this video how I read Anne of Ingleside, like finally finished it. I'm just continuing that reread with the next book, which is Rainbow Valley. And you can tell that I'm getting kind of fed up with this series because I have never switched to audiobooks for this series. Like I've never read the audiobooks for these or anything, but you can tell how fed up I was with this series and like how badly I did not want to physically read Rainbow Valley. So I listened to the audiobook, and I've never reread this book, and I didn't like it. Nope, I read it in basically a sitting. I literally read all of it but an hour in one sitting, and then I just finished it the next day. It's not good. Like, I think that in the future, and I might have mentioned this before, but I think in the future when I want to read Anne, I'm only going to read the first 3 books. I personally don't feel that the rest of the series is worth reading, because as each book goes on, you focus less and less on Anne and way less on Gilbert, like basically right off the bat, and it's just no fun. This book didn't even really like focus on anything to do with Anne. Like there were some parts that were like thrown in of like Anne and like her nanny person along with like one of their neighbors, and they were just kind of like gossiping about things, and that's how we found out a lot of information, I feel like, was between these 3 women talking. So that was pretty much the only time we saw Anne throughout the entire book. And then it wasn't even focusing on Anne's children. Sometimes Anne's children would be like mentioned or shown, but the main characters of this book were like a neighboring family and their children, and I could not bring myself to care about them. I literally, like, they were so annoying, and all I wanted was to focus more on Anne and Gilbert and their children, especially as their children are growing up, and that's just not what we got. And so I was very annoyed. If I had decided to pick this book up physically, I definitely would not have been finished it by now. Like, it would have taken me a really long time to read. Yeah, and I am in no rush really to get to Rilla of Ingleside, which is the final book in the series, mainly because there is no audiobook available on my app, and I just don't feel like physically reading it. Although I do remember really loving that one when I first read it, but then again I was like 10 or 11 when I first read it, so I think my standards were a little lower than they are now. But I do remember loving Rilla and really connecting to her story. I literally wrote like journal entries about reading this book and like how much it impacted me. So I'm hoping that I'll still love it when I do eventually get to it, but it's not on the agenda for right now. But I've basically only read 1 book since last talking to you. It's very unfortunate. My copy of Counting Down With You has not yet arrived. Don't know when it's going to arrive. I did get a book package today though, so I'll share that with you. I'm not going to read any of these books yet though, just because I've got other things that I really want to read right now. But I got 2 advanced reader copies from HCC Frenzy or HarperCollins Canada. So if you did not know, I am an influencer for HCC Frenzy. And like every kind of season, they hold this like event where they do a preview of all of their upcoming titles, and you can request some of those arcs. So I requested a few and I got 2 of them. So the first book is Cafe Con Lychee by Emery Lee. This book was already on my radar. Both of these books were actually on my radar before this event that they did, and I was really excited when I saw that there was an arc available for it. Emery Lee wrote the book Meet Cute Diary, and I bought that one in December, I think. No, it was either in December or January. It was December. It was December because it was when I went to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. I have yet to read it, but I'm really excited about it, and it sounds really good. Ideally, I'd like to read that one before reading this one, Don't know how that's gonna go. But this book comes out in May. I don't know what day exactly. On the 10th of May. I'm very excited about this one. This cover is absolutely stunning, like the way the food is like surrounding them. I can't remember exactly what it's about. Oh, but it is comped to What If It's Us, which is one of my favorite books. So basically, the two main characters hate each other because their family owns the only two ethnic cafes in their small little town. So their families are long-standing competitors. I am so excited about this book. But the next one I'm also very excited about, and it is Out of the Blue by Jason June. Jason June is the author of Jay's Gay Agenda, which came out last year, which I have not yet picked up, but I do want to. But Jason June was an Author Mentor Match mentor for my round of Author Mentor Match last year, so that's how I knew about him. But this is his newest release, and it's about like merpeople, which I love. I don't know if I've ever actually read a book about merpeople, but I do like mermaids and stuff like that, so I'm excited about this. And it sounded just really good when the people in the event were talking about it, and they even had Jason June do like a video talking about it, which is really fun. I can't remember exactly what it's about though. One of the merpeople falls in love with like a human who is like a lifeguard. Oh, and fake dating. There's fake dating. The merperson Crest helps the lifeguard Sean to make his ex jealous by fake dating. Love that. It says this sophomore novel from Jason June dives into the many definitions of the word home and shows how love can help us find the truest versions of ourselves. Oh, I love that so much. So I think this one is going to be really great, and it feels like it's going to be like a great summer read. I don't know if it takes place during summer, but this just seems like a really fun story. This cover is absolutely stunning. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. This might be like a good June read, even though it comes out in May, but I think I might pick this one up in June. Thank you so much to HCC Frenzy for sending me these two books. I literally could not be more excited about these. It's gonna be an absolute amazing time, and I've not been like in the greatest mood today, so getting these in the mail definitely brightened up my spirits a little bit. So thank you once again, and I am just so excited to pick these ones up. Okay, so reading update. I have not been reading consistently, so, you know, the whole schedule that I had going on in the reading slump vlogs has not continued. My sleeping schedule is whack again, so I haven't been reading in the mornings like I have been, which is making me really sad, and I'm gonna try to fix that in the next like coming weeks. But yeah, I just haven't been reading as much, which is really unfortunate. But let me update you on what I've read since my last update, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't know when that was. I went to the library the other day to pick up a bunch of holds that I had. I discovered that they had the Goldie Vance comics. I heard Chelsea Darling Reads talk about these graphic novels a couple of years ago, I think. It might have been like at the very beginning of the pandemic, or like shortly before the pandemic, that I saw her talking about these. God, I wish she still made videos. I loved her vlogs. But I've been wanting to get my hands on these, and I just haven't been able to. But I saw that my library had them, and so I was like, oh, yes, please. So I got all 4 volumes. I don't know if there's any more volumes. This one at the end said like the end or something, whereas like all of these ones said like to be continued. So I don't know if this was like the official last volume, but this is all that the library had. So I read these all in one day the other day, and I enjoyed them. I'm not like a huge comic person or like a huge graphic novel person. Usually I enjoy graphic novels more if it's like an adaptation of a favorite book, or if it's like a continuation of a series that I read in like novel form, like the Lunar Chronicles, like Wires and Nerve graphic novels, or you know, the Vampire Academy graphic novels, or just like adapted. Like those kind of graphic novels are usually what I gravitate towards. But like the only comics that I really read are like Archie, but I haven't read them in a long time, and I will admit it's because of booktube, and it's because I feel like I can't add them to my reading goal because like they're just random comics, and I feel like any reading that I do that I can't put towards a reading goal is like pointless. I'm thinking of making a video one day where I talk about how like booktube has changed me as a reader. So if you have any interest in watching that, let me know down below, because I've been kind of putting off filming it. Like I have the whole outline written, I just haven't wanted to actually sit down and film it. So let me know if you actually want to see that, because if you do, I will kind of shove it up in my schedule. Point is, I'm not a huge comic person, but these sounded interesting. It's basically kind of like a mystery like comic series. It's basically about our main character, Goldie Vance, and she works at this hotel with her friends and her dad, and she's just like the valet at the hotel, but she tries to be like the assistant to the hotel's detective and is really into like solving mysteries and stuff. So each one kind of follows like a different little mini mystery within in the hotel, and they were enjoyable. You know, I read them all, like I said, within a day, like literally back to back. I just sat down on my bed and read them. I think this one was my least favorite, not necessarily because of the actual content of it. Like, it dealt with like a little like music festival held, I believe, at the hotel, which was very interesting and maybe would have been one of my favorites if I just hadn't read them all back to back. But like at this point I was getting tired of them. Like I said, I just sat there for I don't even know how many hours just reading them, so I think I would have enjoyed it more if I hadn't read them all back to back like that. But I liked the characters, they were fun. I liked Goldie. She has a girlfriend named, I don't remember, I don't know, she had a girlfriend, which I thought was cool. She worked at like a record store and she just like looked really cool. I liked the characters, I liked the setting, I really liked the art. The art was a lot of fun, very colorful. I believe these take place in the 60s, so that was also really fun. And like, I do recommend them if you're more of like a comic person than I am. And then I have made more progress in Not the Witch You Wed, primarily today. Like, I think today's the first time I picked up in a little while, and I managed to get up to page 164. And I think in my last clip I talked about how like I really wanted to get to the fake dating stuff, and I felt like I would enjoy it more once I got to that stuff. And I will tell you, the chapter that I had left off on was the one where they kind of started the fake dating scheme. So if I had just kept reading, I would have gotten to it, but I didn't know that. But I read it in the car today. We were driving to a restaurant and I read in the car, which I haven't chosen to do very often unless we're like driving to the States. But I've usually in the past like 2 years during the pandemic opted to just listen to music in the car instead of reading. But I was like, no. I'm gonna take this opportunity. It was like a half-hour car ride. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna read a book, and I'm really glad that I did. Like I said, page 164, chapter 13, roughly around halfway through the book now. And I'm happy to report I am enjoying this more than I was before. So my prediction of me enjoying it more once we got to the fake dating proved to be correct. I love the fake dating trope, as I'm sure you all know. It's my absolute favorite. Like, to me, nothing tops the fake dating trope. Like, it is just top tier, superior to every other trope in existence. It is great. So I'm really enjoying that. I like the vibes between our main characters, Violet and Link. It's kind of like a second chance romance kind of deal. Like, they were together when they were in high school and then he broke her heart. She's kind of had a grudge against him this entire time, but he's kind of like been in love with her the entire time. It's really cute and I do like those kind of vibes. So the goal is to finish this tomorrow because it's nighttime now. It's like almost 2 in the morning, I think, if not 2 in the morning, and I need to go to bed. But I'm gonna finish this tomorrow. I will admit it is April 30th, technically May 1st now, but I'm gonna count this towards April because I don't care. I make the rules here. I'm gonna count it towards April, even though I'm gonna finish it in May. And you know what? I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna finish this tomorrow. I think I'm also gonna end this vlog tomorrow when I finish this book. I'm gonna go to bed. Okay, I finally finished Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher. I actually ended up really enjoying this book. It really captured my attention in the second half, and I ended up really enjoying the romance, and I don't know, like, I ended up really enjoying it. The fake dating was fun. I ended up becoming really invested in their relationship and the romance, and it gave me like all the giddy feelings that I love when I'm reading a romance novel. And I did like the supernatural elements as well. The magic was fun. It gave the whole story like a fun backdrop and some good conflict. I did really enjoy it, and I definitely do want to reread it one day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys have been reading recently because I'd really love to know. Subscribe if you've not yet already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!